Is the Appalachian Trail scary? Is there any scary moments? Well, today I'm going to talk about that and tell you my scariest moment on the Appalachian Trail. I'd love for you to share yours. Anyway, I'm JB Gunner. I'm Teardrop.
This is Teardrop, and welcome to New to the Wild.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and broads, glad you're back. I'm JB Gunner, aka Teardrop, and this is the legend of Teardrop. Now, today, what we're going to be discussing is my scariest moment on the Appalachian Trail. Well, when I was thinking about doing this video, I thought back and I thought to myself, and I realized there's actually several. In reality, in real life, on the streets, I'm a tough guy. It's just the facts. There's not too much shit I'm scared of. Been shot twice, stabbed 14 times. But I knew that going into the mountains, the wilderness for the first time, remember I was called New to the Wild, that I was going to deal with some scary shit. Well, I do have a number one scariest moment, but I'm kind of going to elaborate on a few others before I get to that moment. Now, the first thing I want to talk about was my original trip. Because to be perfectly honest, nothing was, I don't know, okay, I guess there is things that's scarier. But the first time I ever stepped out onto the Appalachian Trail was scary as shit. Now keep in mind, I'm a Chicago boy, then an Indianapolis boy, then a Vegas boy, and then a Florida boy. I'm not used to this shit. I didn't know how I was going to handle it. When I first stepped out onto the Appalachian Trail, my first night, my first time out there, once I did the approach trail, and I was up on once I did the stairs on the approach trail, and I went up over onto Frosty Mountain, and I was officially in the woods. I was scared shitless. I didn't know what the fuck to do. I didn't know if a bear was going to come out and chew my face. I didn't know if I'd brought enough food, if I was starved to death. Because it was December 18th, I didn't know if I was wearing enough clothes and if I was going to freeze to death. That was some scary shit. That's the truth. Other scary moments I have to say is in September of 2015 when I went back alone. And no one else was out there because it was September. And I was on Springer Mountain. I was at Springer Mountain Shelter. No one else was there. I got there late, so I had to sleep at Springer Mountain Shelter, and it was nighttime. I was the only person there. I had always been used to hiking in the winter where there was no leaves, but this time, there was greenery all around me. At night, there was a moment where I stepped out of my tent to go take a piss, and I have to say that moment on top of Springer Mountain, where I realized there probably wouldn't be any hikers for a long time. I was by myself. It was evening, and it was off season. That moment also was scary. Scarier moments than this, however, obviously, we're leading up to the main one. But I will tell you now that I went back to the trail to do one of my 10 Georgia hikes last year. Last year in 2016. I had taken my wife with me, and when we get there, literally there's ambulances, and there is a what the hell do they call them damn trucks to take away the dead bodies? So anyway, somebody had killed themselves on Springer Mountain. So now keep in mind, I'd always told my wife, there's nothing to worry about. There's no danger at all when hiking the Appalachian Trail. Now, all of a sudden there's a coroner and ambulances and a motherfucking dead body on top of Springer. Okay. Now, all of those things are indeed nerve-wracking. But the absolute number one scariest moment for me on the Appalachian Trail has to be 2015. It was the winter. I had started another hike. I was coming down into the Three Forks area. Now, that's where I was camping that night. But it was evening. It was dark. I went to go get some water. As I was getting water, unfortunately, I looked out at the road right there, and I saw these little things that looked like dogs, right? I just figured they were dogs. I had no idea what they were. Well, these dogs began to come towards me and cross that bridge at Three Forks. Now, luckily for me, what had me see them to begin with was the fact there was a car with headlights behind it. Now, that car intelligently waited. They waited right there. But what they were was coyotes. So here I am on Three Forks, that little bridge, and here comes a pack of 4 coyotes coming at me. Now, once again, I'm the tough guy, and I had a hiking partner. So I had to, at that moment, be a man and grab my poles, and I positioned myself, and I was ready to fight off these fucking coyotes. And thank God, the car honked its horn, and he positioned himself where the headlights came in over the bridge, and the coyotes backed up, went along the water, and ran away. That had to have been the most scared I ever was on the Appalachian Trail, because I had, deep down, had no clue how I would handle them. You know, now thinking back, I just should have thrown the partner in front of him and got my ass out of Dodge. It is what it is. That's what I should have done. But at that moment, I didn't know how I was going to fight these things off. Of course, I was trying to be the defender of my hiking group. And like an idiot, I was going to put myself at risk to fight off these things. And I wouldn't have known how to do it. And there's a pack of these fucking coyotes. Who the fuck knows? But honestly, for me, that was the scariest moment I've ever had on the Appalachian Trail. Now, most of my scary moments came in the first 6 months to a year that I ever went on the trail. You know, now that I'm experienced at it, I just walk out there and it's nothing. There's nothing I haven't seen. There's nothing I haven't done. But I will tell you this, just one more story. I'm coming down standing Indian. There's 2 moments I actually have. I'm coming down standing Indian and I'm walking. Well, I'm sitting there, I'm making a video, and I walk up literally on a bear taking a shit on the trail right there. Now, they tell you there's 2 things not to do. Step between a bear and his cub and startle a bear. Luckily for me, this bear made the right decision. He just bolted up this 5,000-foot mountain. This bear was huge. It was in the fall. He was packing his belly. I cannot believe, because I don't know what I would have done either if he would have decided the other method. If he would have charged me, I have absolutely, and I still to this day, have no clue how I would deal with a bear charging me. I wouldn't run. I would probably be ready to fight. But that's some scary shit. And then also I was coming down into Rock Gap, that same trip. And there was a little baby bear running across the little field, across where the shelter is when you're coming down into Rock Gap. And he was in a clearing, and the little baby bear looked over at me, and then ran a little bit, looked over at me again, and I thought to myself, "Aw, that's so cute, he's trying to play." And then it hit me. What if he's looking at his mom, and his mom is behind me? If there's a baby bear, there has to be a mother bear. Then the fear really hit. You start to realize, oh, fuck, what situation am I exactly in? Because here's the truth here's another moment. When I knocked myself unconscious on Blood Mountain. It was January. It was minus 18 degrees on the top of Blood Mountain. Here I am coming down Blood Mountain. But there's a portion when you're coming down Blood Mountain when you actually got to kind of go up. You got to climb up these little boulders during your trip down, oddly enough. Well, I got up to the top of it, got my footing wrong, slipped, fell, cracked my head on a rock, and was unconscious. Luckily for me, I woke up, but I wanted to go back to sleep. And I knew then I was concussed and I had to get up immediately. I went down to Neal's Gap. I kept looking at that damn mountain, and no one went up or came down that mountain until 12 noon. Now, I had started coming down at before sunrise, and the event happened around 7 a.m. So had I went back to sleep, there's a good possibility I would have fell asleep. Nobody would have been there to get me till noon, and I would have died, just to be honest. So those are the scariest moments, but I have to say probably the coyotes was my scariest moment on the Appalachian Trail. What about you? What was your scariest moment? And if you haven't hiked before on the Appalachian Trail, what kind of things are you intimidated by? These were the moments that really challenged my manhood, to be honest. But the key to these moments is you just got to keep going. They are intimidating, but you just got to keep coming back and asking for more. Just another quick sample of something was this year when I went back to the Appalachian Trail unprepared. Uh, when I went back to finish my hike from Hot Springs to Irwin, and I went unprepared. It's a very easy section, and for some reason I couldn't make it. I had to be rescued for the first time ever because I was dehydrated. I didn't have food. I was weak, and to be perfectly honest, that moment for me of all people to dial 911 was not good. So I've had a few moments that will scare the average person. But what's your scariest moment? Now, none of my moments are that exciting. I've never been chased by a bear. I've never been bitten by a snake. Well, I have been bitten by a snake. Actually, I have. I got bit by a damn copperhead. I got bit by a little copperhead on a section hike with a buddy of mine on the back of my heel. Luckily, he did not inject me with anything. It just drew blood. I know it was a copperhead based on some of the people and such as they looked at the bite, and there's just no way it wasn't. And so for me though, it didn't hurt though. It felt like a bee sting, and yeah, it hurt when it first happened. You're like but that's about it. So anyway, those are kind of some of the things that intimidated me on the Appalachian Trail. What are your stories? Let me know in the comment section. I appreciate that. Anyway, those are my scariest AT moments.
Bye, bitches.